It was promised 4 years ago, but it appears the medical super clinic agreed to by the federal government for the rapidly growing township of Sorell in southern Tasmania will never be built. Instead, the funding may go to Brighton. The health minister's blaming the operator, saying it requested more money than was available. But emails seen by the ABC show the federal government let the operator believe it would sort the issue out after last year's election. Anna Yard reports.
We're being blamed for something that we didn't do.
There are cracks in this program. We were concerned about it at the beginning. We're concerned about it now.
I'm not at this stage interested in getting into blame games.
$500,000 of taxpayer money has been wasted.
It was supposed to be finished last year, but the Sorell GP Super Clinic has never got off the ground. For Edward Gowden, it's time, hard work and money down the drain.
I think the people of Tasmania have been dudded yet again by the federal government. People of Lyons especially, but the people of Tasmania. The expectations that these things will be delivered, and they're not.
Edward Gowden was recruited by Tasmania's Southern GP network, GP South, to manage the Sorell development and eventually the clinic's operation. He set up Sorell Integrated Health, a volunteer board of GPs and local council representatives who all saw great potential in a Sorell Super Clinic. But 2 weeks ago today, Mr Gowden found out the Sorell Clinic had been scrapped. The Health Minister, Nicola Roxon, issued a press release saying the operators had requested further funding, which is not available.
She said that we had withdrawn from the project, and that's clearly untrue. We have not withdrawn from the project.
There was a certain amount of money put on the table, other support put up, and continuing to ask for more money to achieve a goal, I think may have been a frustration for a lot of people.
They can't expect the government to provide extra money when they applied for a certain amount and then wanted to double that amount. No government can run in that way, and we weren't prepared to.
The clinic was announced in the lead-up to the 2007 federal election, a vision of the former Prime Minister Kevin Rudd. He announced $280 million to build 36 GP super clinics around the nation. Tasmania was to receive 4 in Burnie, Devonport, Clarence and Sorell. It was when tenders were let that the Sorell project hit a snag.
There was questions being raised. How will $2.5 billion fit into a $5 million hole? Quite simply. And especially too with the stimulus package that the federal government put in place, the cost of building went up.
Mr Gowden immediately set about trying to obtain more funding and went to local federal MP for Lyons, Dick Adams. He asked for another $2.5 million to complete the project, taking the total cost to $5 million. It was the same amount the Burnie, Devonport and Clarence clinics received.
And Dick Adams and the government and Minister Roxon put the information out there that we could apply for funding from other areas, infrastructure grants and other supporting areas to build up the funding that was being missing.
7:30 Tasmania has seen a series of emails between the office of Dick Adams and the office of the Health Minister Nicola Roxon, which Mr Gowden says back his claims. They were sent just weeks before last year's federal election.
With the current funding, this super clinic cannot be built. I can't understand why the Sorell Super Clinic is not being seen as a proper super clinic, which should, like the others, attract the $5 million. Dick will blame the department and the people who have been working with Sorell Integrated Health because they have not been realistic in what they are asking him to do. Dick wants to have some good reason why he should not blow this up in the press, as basically if this project is shelved, then so is Dick's seat in Lyons.
Ms Roxon's office replied,
"At this stage, we are unable to commit any additional funding to the Sorell Clinic, but Dick should say that he has spoken to the Minister's office and been given an assurance that we will look at this issue post-election if Labor is returned to get the clinic back on track. And that if the Liberals are elected, this will likely mean no GP super clinic for Sorell at all."
Quite simply, we were being told to hold off until an election was finished and then all things will be okay. Not to rock the boat, not to cause any difficulties for the government in election mode, and thus being quite simply supporting a federal Labor government.
As the election drew closer, Mr Adams' office sent another email.
Thanks for responding, but I do need a little bit more than this to try and keep this super clinic going. I don't want this to fall over, and it would be as bad as the forestry stuff for Dick if we don't have some solution. Please?
The Health Minister's office responded.
We are more than happy for you to tell them that we will make a priority of sorting this immediately post-election. Obviously, we don't want it to fall over either.
Our office and our department was always prepared to work to find a resolution to build a super clinic within the funding envelope that was provided. I think it is unfortunate that people have interpreted that to mean that extra money would be available when that was never promised, never committed.
The National President of the Australian Medical Association has asked the Auditor-General to investigate the super clinic scheme and the demise of the Sorell development.
This is a lot of public money, and we've seen some cracks emerge. We've seen a super clinic with fenced off in Queensland. We've seen ones not proceed both in Tasmania and the Northern Territory. We're asking the Auditor-General to have a look at this, to have a proper look at this and just make sure that the funds are being expended appropriately.
The federal government says funding for the Sorell Clinic will now be used to upgrade or build new frontline health services in Sorell and nearby communities. 730 Tasmania understands there's a push for the money to go to Brighton, which is currently without a GP.
I don't believe that there's a current proposal. There's been lots of discussions about projects that might be suitable. I know that there's been interest from Brighton, and certainly Mr Adams has been talking to me about the need for infrastructure investments there.
They allocated, as you know, $2.5 million to Sorell. $2.5 million was expected to be spent in Sorell.
And Edward Gowden's not about to give up.
Late today, Dick Adams rang from Berlin, where he's on parliamentary business. He says he's not aware of the emails and he does not believe the clinic's demise in any way threatens the future of his seat in Parliament.